Welcome to the show. We are live on the Red Pill News. On, you know what? United Public Radio Network has the best minds working on the subjects for you, really. Since I have been on the station, I've met some pretty amazing people who are very knowledgeable in subjects, and their knowledge is deep, and you got to love that. So I'll tell you this. Alyssa Milano, all right? She's got, she admits to mental health struggles. Mental health is a huge problem with a lot of people. But you know what? Everybody, let's just say everybody has some kind of struggle mentally on some level at some time, that type of thing. So, and Alyssa Milano is actually very outspoken on political subjects, and then she, like when she was talking about coronavirus, she crocheted herself a mask and said she was fully protected from her crocheted mask. Of course, crocheted, masks have lots of holes in it, and it wasn't really any kind of barrier to anything. Maybe not even stupidity, because then there's people who listen to that and they're like, "Oh, I can do the same thing." Alyssa Milano did this. And if you're quoting Alyssa Milano, or if you're trying to adjust your life in any way for what she does, and you need to check into a place to get yourself checked out, because this is the problem with Hollywood in general, and the music business too, to a lesser degree. But it's funny how people get so political, and when they're famous, they automatically, want you to follow them in their ideas and what they say. Basically, throw your individuality down the toilet, and flush it, because you don't have an original thought. You have to think like they do and repeat what they say. So this is my problem with them. And I've met many, many, many musicians and or famous people, infamous people over my time, big personalities, big characters. The real ones don't even get involved in telling you your business. They have their own political beliefs. They basically will keep it to themselves. They know that they are a business. They know that as part of being a business, and you're a movie star, you have people coming to your movies and watching your features. You don't want to alienate half the group. So they're going to say, "Oh, I'm not seeing that jerk ever again." That's how I feel about Robert De Niro. And it's not even that I was liking Trump. I was just disliking the way De Niro holds himself and the way he is in general. He's a very vulgar, nasty person. And, if that was the left's spokesman of who doesn't like Trump, they didn't have a very worthy group of people, of distinguished, decent people. Just recently, Robert De Niro got hung up by his secretary because the way, he calls her the C word constantly and puts her down, and, does all manhandles her, does all kinds of stuff, and she quit. That happened many times before, because that's what kind of person he is. I think he thinks he's the person he plays. He only plays one role. You got these actors who can only play one role, really. And he's stuck in the mafia thing, typecast into the world of mafia. Even when they put him in other movies, that it doesn't work, because unless it fits his that horrible personality, right? And that's what he puts forth. So Jim Carrey, another guy. He's not a hateful guy, but he's the same way in every movie. You only have to see one of Jim Carrey's movies to know him, to know what he's all about, man. He got political too, but to a lesser degree. And then a whole bunch of stuff came out with him hitting on some 21-year-old girl. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? You gonna judge the guy? What is he, 50 something? Yeah, whatever, man. It's his business. His business, It's not something I would do these days. You know what I mean? And I'm going through a thing where I live in a college county where you got, Cornell University, Ithaca College. There's tons of college girls running around. It's summertime, I mean, the last time I was there, these girls were walking around in bikinis, going down to the gorge, and, gorgeous girls and whatever, right? But to me, they look like a bunch of kids. to me, there's no like, wow, look at that girl, she's so hot. To me, they're like, ah, look at that kid. Hey kid, you should cover up. That's more when they say like, how could that girl's parents let her leave the house like that? But I know that's what you do. You're in college or whatever. You're away from your parents for the most part. You live your life, man. You just live your life. So, but Adam Sandler's another guy. We could have a definitely a moratorium on Adam Sandler because every movie he's in, he just does the same thing. He can only be himself, and that's who he is in all these movies. And then, after you've seen one or two, and he was never the A-lister anyway. I got news for you. I don't know how he got there, just from hanging out long enough to get in there. But a B actor, yeah. A actor, no. But there he is. He's I can't watch his movies because I just don't like him. And I used to like him. I used to think he was just fine when he was the background guy. When he came out forward, there was nothing to like for me anyway. But you see, television is not geared towards me. These movies aren't geared towards me. It's kind of like I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy, right? There are things that just aren't made for me. Fiats, they don't make those cars for me. Any little car, for that matter, they don't make them for me. So I don't try. I don't. There's no point in trying to adjust myself and and conform to something that I'm not. So that's me. So I turn the channel and turn the channel and turn the channel. I don't even watch TV anymore. And if I put it on, it's more of just for the sheer disgust of what it is. I was watching a guy on the Weather Channel, right? And I like to watch storm coverage, but it's difficult because the television has become the entertainment parts become the filler between commercials. That's all it really is. That's all and I'll tell you how I can prove it to you right now. When you watch your television program, you're watching your movie, whatever channel it's on, in the little corner of the screen, it has a station identification down there and tells you what channel, Comedy Channel, TBS, whatever the hell it is, right? When the commercials come on, those station identifications disappear. They take them off. They take them off because they don't want to impede in the commercial in any way, right? So it's not entertainment anymore. It's advertising, and that's the whole thing is advertising. The whole internet now is advertising. There was an advertisement in my fortune cookie the other day. A fortune on one side, advertisement on the other. It's to the point where it's like nonstop. The world is truly becoming the movie Idiocracy. We've moved into a zone of abject stupidity where people want the telephone to think for them and they want the computer to think for them. They don't want to have to come up with any answers. They consult their telephone or Siri or whatever the hell they've got instead of coming up with their own answers, instead of understanding for themselves, right? So because of that, the people out there, the sheeple out there, follow certain people in Hollywood, and then when they're really outspoken, they're like, oh, so Alyssa Milano is one of those people. So this was the same girl who got naked many years ago in movies, and good looking girl, fantastic body, no problem, right? She got naked, and then people took the pictures of that. And we know when the internet first came about, they plastered them all over the internet, because if you know the internet, that's one of the things the internet's all about is porno in some way. It was like invented for porno. It's like a porn box for a lot of people. So, but then she got together with her mother, who's crazy too. And then they went out there and they tried suing people and whatever. The one thing about the internet, if there's a meme about you and you react harshly to it, you can count on 10,000 more coming out. Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses, when he had blew up like a blimp, he gained a ton of weight. I didn't even recognize the guy. This is a guy that I actually met up with in the clubs a few times. Clubs I either were reviewing or worked at or hung out at, and he's not that much of a likable guy at all. He actually made fun of people for being fat. I remember that. But then he gained a bunch of weight, and then when people made fun of him, he broke down and he had a fit. He went out there and chastised people. How dare you make fun of me? Ma, 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 ma. Listen, man, you got to have humility. You got to have a sense of humor about yourself. If you're fat, you're fat. You got to own it. Got to own it, man. So of course people were putting memes out. I was putting my own memes out. Of course, I like making memes. It's a stress reliever for me. My doctor asked me last week, he's like, do you have a hobby? And I said sarcasm. I mean, that's kind of me. But instead of like sweet child of mine, the song I wrote, like sweet pies of mine, like with him trying to sing, it was very funny. Appetite for Destruction was the album's name. I wrote Appetite for Anything. It's fun. All right. And I did it in not to be mean either, because they're not mean things. It's humorous, So because people can be mean, and be derogatory and nasty and whatever. It's different, especially for a guy who likes to make fun of overweight people. You think that guy would be first in line, not just for pies, but to be made fun of, right? Or be poked fun of, whatever. So Alyssa Milano, she's on her suing kick. I think she's off of it now. And you can find her naked pictures anywhere, everywhere, and then she got all tattooed and stuff, but to each his own, man. I don't ever judge people and what they do unless they're hurting something else, hurting an animal, or being destructive. I mean, that then I can make my comments freely. But otherwise, people and their mental struggles, well, shit, I got my own. You know what I mean? And we all have our own, and they're all as different as each other. So anyway, Alyssa Milano shut down a social media troll, and it wasn't me, who snarkily referred to her mental health struggles. And now let me stop there. Much of the time when this happens, it's fake outrage. They lie, or they're their own troll, or they have somebody do it so they can make the statement that they want to make. I've seen this happen so many times where they kind of just bait the trap. It's their trap, it's their bait, and then they're the ones looking to entrap themselves, saying, oh, it's some insensitive beast who did this. I'm not saying there's no insensitive beasts online. The internet is a world where people can hide behind fake names and attack freely. If you've ever been on Twitter, you know what a hate fest that is. It's a hate fest. Twitter is a hate fest. It's just people and they're ranting, and then they're what they want to put out there, man. It's like, oh my God, just live your goddamn life and shut up. Just live your life, man. Why do you need to force your stupid opinions on people anyway? They don't care. I don't care. Nobody cares. We're all just doing our own stuff. So anyway, these people have no life. That's why they care. And then they get on there attacking one another, and then whatever, man. And that becomes their life. Their lives, they define themselves in likes. They define themselves in who gives them a little heart or something. That's their definition of what kind of people they are. Wow. I define myself in my kindness and my love for the world, in my heart, and yeah, I have good days and bad days, and I'm not perfect. That's for damn sure. That it says that on my birth certificate. He ain't perfect, and I'm not going to be perfect because it's not a perfect world. I'm the way God made me. That's all. Take it up with him or her or whatever it is. All right. So this so-called troll says to Alyssa Milano, did you forget to take your medication? The user asked in one of her videos, which is an honest question, especially if she puts it out there so much. If you're going to share everything about your life and people make comments on it, you're going to have to expect those comments to go any which way. All right. So she said, first of all, no, I did not forget to take any medication. So an affirmation that she took her meds. That's good. Right? Milano, who is now 48 years old and definitely hit the wall, she responded in a whole separate clip to this person. So not only did this person just write a one-liner, did you forget to take your medication? This is the stuff that I love to do on I do love going on Twitter and dropping the bomb. I drop it and get the hell out of there. It's like my cat that I used to have, Puffy. He'd go in a litter box and just take a huge poop and just run the hell out of there. Not even try to cover it up, man. That's the way you got to be. Be like Puffy. Take that huge poop and run, like you dropped a hand grenade. And then I check back in, and there's like 780 comments of people fighting with each other, just from one line. And they're hating each other. They're going crazy. They're emotionally attacking each other. They don't even know each other. And they're letting their emotions be taken over by some person like me just writing a one-liner just to do it. Just to do it. You got to love that. You got to love it, man. You know? So, first of all, no, I didn't forget to take my medication. All right. Detailing her medical history, she continued, I have anxiety with complex PTS and panic disorder. So I take my medicine because I like to just be functional. You know, when a chick comes at you with a laundry list of conditions, you better get the hell out of there. You don't walk, you run. You run. You run to that nice one who likes to be kind, not the one who you meet. Hey, tell me about yourself. I have anxiety with complex PTS and panic disorders. Okay. I gotta go. Bye. See you later. I'm sorry for your whatever they are. And most people, 99.9% of people out there have some kind of anxiety at some point, but you don't let it take control of your life. The way you let it take control of your life certainly is to get to one, see the wrong therapist, especially if you're wealthy and you're paying them a lot of money. Not saying that they're disingenuous, but yeah, they're disingenuous. And then it really comes down to you controlling your own life. Last week we talked about Britney Spears and her conservatorship, and this whole last week I'm seeing people quit. Her manager quit. This person's walking away. That person's walking away. And she still says that she can't control her own life, her spending, and her medical stuff. So she admits that she needs that person, right? But then she has moments of clarity, saying, I can pay bills. I can do this. Why can't I control my own life? Well, who told you that you couldn't? When she went nuts and got locked away in a facility, and the judge did this, right? But now here's Melissa Milano. She is wearing her anxiety and complex PTS and panic disorder like a badge of courage. It's not. And they're barely even real problems, And yeah, I said that because some people really have these disorders, but then there are people who say they have these disorders. Why do I know she's one of those people that say it? Because she needs to say these things to justify the things that she says otherwise. So you can't attack her in any way. And she's a woman with all these different complex PTS. What the hell even is that? I'm gonna look that up, man. Complex PTS. Let me see. Well, Alyssa, it's a property tax specialist. No, I don't think that's. I don't think it's property tax. Okay, here we go. 3 main trauma diagnoses. Okay. So I guess there was PTSD, and they took that and then they changed it. So post-traumatic stress is PTS. So Alyssa Milano, for some reason, has complex post-traumatic stress of whatever she thinks that she went through. I never recalled her saying anything that went on in her life. Grew up in poverty, did terrible things happen to her. I don't know, whatever, man. So PTSD, of course, is post-traumatic stress disorder. I knew what that was. And there's complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Most of the people I know, especially Black people who grew up in the city, have PTSD. And if you don't know that about people, then you don't know people because of what they have to go through in their lives and how they've been treated in this world. You know what I mean? And in this country, especially, and made to live. How people are made to live, man. So, but yeah, PTSD, I got it too, man. I was abused when I was a kid. All kinds of stuff went on. I mean, my mom did what she could to save me from the Fuhrer, but it was it was a battle, that's for sure. So anyway, so far she didn't take her medication, and then she responded in a whole separate clip. So she took the time out of her busy, anxiety-filled, panic, stress disorder day. So how come she has complex PTS, which is post-traumatic stress and panic, right? And she takes her medicine to be functional. The Who's the Boss star, and that's how they have to reference her. Isn't that crazy? The Who's, when was that show on? How long ago was that? Tony Danza was the only decent person on that whole damn show. The only talented one. When did that show start? How long ago is that? And this is what she's milking, really? And then what she's done? What has she done? She did that the witches of something or other, where that was it always had to be a statement. Everything's a statement now, but it's a statement of BS. It's not a statement of truth. It's a statement of what their perception is, what the truth of what they've been told. Okay. So the Who's the Boss star then added, I think it's time that we destigmatize medication from mental health. Like we've destigmatized, say, I don't know, Botox. Okay, thanks for listening. That's what she said to the troll. I think it's time that we destigmatize medication from mental health like we've destigmatized, say, I don't know, Botox. That sounds crazy to me. Does she take Botox? She probably does. That's that stuff they tighten up their lip. That's why a lot of women over 40 got to stiff up a lip. That ain't from whiskey, man. That's from some Botox. You see that woman that time that actually broke into the place that has Botox? She in a Mercedes, and like she smashed through the glass of these buildings to go inside and steal Botox. Ugh. Who the hell wants to kiss someone with a stiff upper lip? Yeah. Got some little bit of hair up there. I don't know, man. Hairy stiff upper lip. Okay, buddy. Okay, dude. Okay, thanks for listening. So she entertained the troll. She took her time to answer and actually tried to have, it's time that we destigmatize medication. There is no, first of all, medication, there's a huge problem. More of a mental health problem in America is a medication problem in America, especially opiates, things like that, and fake opiates I mean, there's pharmaceutical companies make a ton of money off these things, but you have fentanyl, you have different degrees of fentanyl, super powerful fentanyl, and you get a speck of that stuff on your skin and you're pretty much gone, but yeah. And look at all the famous people who die from medication, right? All the famous people, Prince died from medication, Michael Jackson died from medication. There's a whole host more, so you're arguing with a troll and trying to have a conversation, and she's more being defensive about, the whole medication. Did you take your medicine? That's actually a common thing people say when someone's going off the hook. Did you take your medication? You know what I mean? And then I guess you're not allowed to say anything to anybody about anything anymore because they're going to be offended. I don't walk around feeling like I'm going to offend people or even care, And sometimes I do it specifically like a targeted surgical strike, you know. you know, Even with the doctor last week, we was getting some lip. And he was like a new guy. I never saw him before. I can't even pronounce his goddamn name. I don't know his name. He's a doctor. He examined me. I have no idea what the hell his name was or is. I can read off a piece of paper. I still won't know. 3 seconds later, I forget. Ask most people what the doctor's name is. They have no idea. So the guy I had was good, and he left. Now he's overseeing the whole program. This guy's just young. He's got zits. I don't want a doctor with zits, man, unless he's like one of those middle-aged guys with some kind of problem, dermatology. Let me tell you, man, you have to have good chair side matter. He was mainly pissed because I canceled like 15 appointments. First of all, It wasn't with him. It was with the place. He wasn't. I just chose him as a doctor just recently, so I didn't miss any appointments with him. Two of those appointments during the COVID thing I missed because I didn't want to go in there and go into the belly of the beast where people were going in there sick with COVID, and I was sitting in the waiting room for an hour. Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I'll meet me in the parking lot. You can examine me in my car. How's that? Or something, or outside in the field, pull my pants down in the cornfield outside. I'll do that. Not like hadn't done that before. so so yeah, which you have to be very careful walking through cornfields with no pants on. But the reality is, I didn't like the guy, and I told him that. So then my foot was swollen because I hurt my foot. So I took my shoe off, and my toe was red, and it's sitting there. The nurse gave me a little thing to put my foot on because I wasn't sure I put my bare foot on the floor. The guy comes in, and I told him my foot's messed up. And before I even went in there, I told him that my foot was swollen. I want him to look at it. I go in there. He's like, "Well, why do you have your shoe off?" Well, gee, my foot is has a big red toe, and it's sitting there for you to examine. Why do I have it off? Oh, why don't I have it? Why don't I have it on? Those are questions. So then the guy's bitching about. He actually takes probably 20 minutes to talk to me about making appointments and keeping appointments. And I'm like, listen, I called to cancel all of those appointments. It was over a year and a half, by the way. So it wasn't like, monthly appointments, right? I called to cancel those appointments except for two because I was out of town, actually. I was like in Utah or whatever at that time. So I was like, why are you talking to me about? And he's like, well, we sent a letter to you that you have to sign for, which makes life even harder, like. And he's like, well, how do you feel about this? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm finding another doctor. I'm like, doctors falling out of trees. Like, there's no doctors around. And he's like, well, you came in today, so everything's okay. So I'm like, so you just wasted 20 minutes of my life telling me about appointments and coming in or whatever. And then, just so I said, is it your job to do that? He's like, well, I figured we can talk about it. I'm like, listen, I'd rather talk about my big red toe than missing some appointments. That's clerical, man. That's for the person at the front desk who are very sweet girls, and then they're very understanding. And you can tell that they don't like this dude, man. The nurse too. And the guy had no idea what he was even talking about because he was telling me things that were not true. Like, you can get your labs done here, but meanwhile you can't. You gotta go to the hospital to get the labs done. And he didn't even know that. If he didn't even know that, then how in tune is he with anybody else? I was just like, fine, all right, I'll just deal with it. I'll deal with it. That was what's going on with my foot. I heard it. I just did it. It's getting better. It's practically better. So fine. But I told him what I thought of him. That he has a lot more to learn. He's not a very good doctor, and pretty sad that he's in there. And I want someone else next time. He looked at me like I kicked him in the balls. Well, good. He deserved it. And you wasted 30 minutes of my time. Want my bill? You know what I mean? Already I got a dentist that canceled on me twice. You cancel on them within 48 hours, they charge you. So I'm going to send this guy a bill for the 2 canceled appointments. Why not, man? Like your time isn't worth anything? But that's what they think. They think your time isn't worth anything. And that's what they do. So don't be afraid to tell people what you think, and don't be afraid of hurting feelings if you're right and you're expressing yourself. It's not like you're putting someone down or tearing them apart. You're just telling someone that you don't like the way you're being treated. And there needs to be more of that in this world to keep others in check, right? All right. So Milano reiterated her point in her caption, writing, can we try to get away from flippantly using mental health language as descriptors or insults? This is prompting me to hunt her down on Twitter, man. I'm going to add to her PTSD or PTD, DPP, PP. I'm going to add to her PP. Several fans and celebrities, including fellow celebrity Sharon Stone, who's as crazy, we'll say, looking good for a woman in her 60s, man. Who's as crazy? Sharon Stone had many years of mental health. At least Sharon Stone goes out and helps people, though. and she's cool. I think she's cool. You know what I mean? I think she's good enough to go out there and help people. So anyway, but even Sharon Stone applauded the former Charmed star for her stance on mental health. She said, "Brava," Stone wrote. "Brava." One fan commented, "Preach." Put a little hands together. "I'm so over society using mental health as a comical insult. Let's not shame or demoralize people for wanting to maintain a level of health and functioning." That was Nancy Pelosi, everybody. They're all going nuts over mental health. Milano has been working to normalize the public's view on mental health struggles since 2018. Now, how does that happen? Just from those two sentences, I know that she is not capable of helping normalize anything in mental health, period, in a sentence, right? That year, she revealed in an essay for Time magazine that she began battling anxiety after the birth of her son, Milo, in 2011. What are you saying? You don't like your kid? Is that what you're saying? Oh man, I'm gonna go Twitter her later on. I know what your problem is. You hate your kid. That's all you gotta say. And you just sit back and watch the Hatfields and the McCoys go at each other, because there are two groups on the internet. There's two groups, and then there's linguistic snipers like myself, who don't take sides. I kind of just wait. I wait for my moment. That's all. It's my moment. Oh my God. Well, women have children and they have all kinds of anxiety disorders supposedly that come after that. How about just trying to be a mom, right? She's like, "My generalized anxiety disorder was most likely triggered by my postpartum depression. And my journey with mental illness began with my journey into motherhood." Oh, great, great, great for her son. "My mom's mental illness started with my birth." That's something you can be proud of, right? Oh my, unbelievable! Isn't that terrible even to say? Like, even to put out there. Like, how do you think that kid feels about that? Like, oh yeah, she's got these crazy problems. Mom had her boobies hanging out in movies, and that didn't cause any problem. But she has a kid, and bang. Where's the dude? Where's the husband, man? Is he doing anything? The TV star also disclosed that right, in that piece, that she suffered an anxiety attack her first night back from the hospital. "I felt like I had already disappointed my child," she wrote. As a baby, "I felt like I failed as a mother since I was not able to give birth vaginally or nourish him with the breast milk that had come in yet. Not had come in. The breast milk had not been delivered. My heart raced. My stomach seized up. I felt like I was dying." Earlier this week, Milano continued to be candid with her followers in a video about the work it took to overcome her anxiety. So it doesn't sound like she's overcome anything. It sounds like she's writing books and putting out videos, but she doesn't really. First of all, she's not a healer. She is someone is supposedly suffering from disorders. She's a patient. And her journey as a patient's not done yet. So you can write as your journey as a patient of the things you're going through, but you certainly can't declare victory, you know? So, but she said, "Ask help if you need it." Oh, yeah, man. Ask help if you need it, because help is not there. It's not. It's not. If you think that there's help there, let me tell you, man, there are some good therapists out there, and they know not to overstep their bounds, and they know who they're working with. When you have people who are so pumped up and deluded that that every word they say is worth gold, and they're so ever important that you should heed their words all the time. And this has been Alyssa Milano before 2011, before the birth of her child. She was been struggling with mental illness for years. For her to say her mental illness started in 2011 is really a disservice to mental illness. I'm pretty sure she was born with it, and she's had it, and she's going to have it. And it goes beyond a couple of things. Really, it's a narcissistic, psychopathic narcissistic disorder. People who do that and who are like that, the ones who, they just never take credit for the things that they do. They blame everybody else for stuff. They gang people up on you to begin with. I don't know. And they gaslight you constantly. There's all kinds of stuff. You can tell I've got a lot of experience with it. But it just makes you think that this is who people are listening to. Some people anyway, and she was so political also against Trump, like so political. Does it help anyone's case when you have people like that coming forward, and really venting and venting in a crazy fashion? I don't know, you should read some of the stuff that she's said, so it's just interesting now that they're engaging with people that they don't even know and defending themselves against them. If I was suffering from some huge mental disorder, I certainly wouldn't be venting it, on the internet, on Twitter, and having people pick me apart for whatever reason. I wouldn't put myself out there like that. It's not something that I would ever do. Your mission is to heal. These therapists make it like if you have a mental illness, you can't heal, that it's always going to be with you, but you can heal. You can solve problems. If you're depressed, it's the body telling you and the mind telling you that there's problems that you need to solve. And sometimes those problems can be pretty simple to solve, seemingly, sometimes not. But it's the journey, right? But you can't write about your successes until you're successful. Otherwise, what? So I'm going to talk about the dumbest guy in Congress, right? U.S. Congress. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but I got sidetracked for the last couple of shows. Why other stuff? This is the congressman who asked the U.S. Forest Service if it can change the moon's orbit. The moon, the thing you like to look at night up in the sky, the moon, right? The thing that we've been to as a country, the moon. He seems to think we can move the moon. Okay. This is somebody who represents people in Texas. This is a Republican in Texas who represents people, working taxpayers, right? Representative Louis Gohmert. Wasn't Gohmert the guy on Andy Griffith, the dummy? Anyway, who admitted recently that some consider him the dumbest guy in Congress. He appears intent, but people keep voting him in, right? So what can you say about them? Appears intent on proving people right. On Tuesday, this is actually a little while ago, the Republican congressman asked a representative of the U.S. Forest Service, tasked with managing America's national forests and grasslands, if the agency might consider branching out, so to speak. I understand from what's been testified to the Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management, you want very much to work on the issue of climate change. I was informed by the past director of NASA that they found the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity, and so is there anything the National Forest Service or the BLM can do to change, of course, the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Gohmert inquired to a room full of people who were completely dumbfounded. Even the guys from Dumb and Dumber are laughing, He said, obviously, that would have profound effects on our climate. It's true that the moon is currently drifting away from the Earth at a rate of 3.8 centimeters per year, a speed that has fluctuated all the last 44.5 billion years or so. And though Gohmert didn't say it outright. It's also true that the speed of lunar retreat, as scientists call the phenomena, has at times coincided with major changes in Earth climate, like the melting of the glaciers. But its changes to the Earth climate and cause fluctuations in the rate of the lunar retreat rather than lunar retreat causing fluctuations in the Earth's climate. So you got that right. You got that rating, which is another way of saying if the Forest Service efforts at combating climate change were so wildly successful that they managed to stop the melting of the Earth's glaciers in its tracks, those efforts could theoretically have an impact on the moon's orbit per Goldmar's request. But it was unclear what Gomer hoped for the Forest Service might be able to do at this juncture about the complicated gravitational distance to the moon and the Earth have been locked in for several million millennia. Still, Jennifer Eberlein, Associate Deputy Chief for the National Forest Service, did her best to humor Gomer's inquiry, very nearly keeping a straight face as she answered, I would have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gomer, Eberlin said. You see now, that is a perfect place to insert the Michael Angley brutal truth. Are you stupid? Type of thing. you know, are you stupid? And you don't ask two persons if they're stupid. It's actually a rhetorical question. Mr. Gomer, that's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. And how you became a U.S. congressperson, I have no idea. By the people voting for you, and I don't even get that. Eberlein had been invited to testify before the House National Resources Committee about simplifying outdoor access for Recreation Act, the SOAR Act, and the SOAR Act, the Open Source Act, and the Ski Hill Resources for Economic Development, the SHRED Act. Soars and shreds. That's right. And to generally voice the agency's strong support of the committee's efforts to encourage the recreational use of federal lands. So one can understand why she might have been unprepared to field Gomer's query about the moon. Isn't that something you ask NASA? not the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM. They should have gave them the number to Black Lives Matter instead. You asked them that. Is there a way we could move the moon? They'd be like, oh, who is this? Talking about, doggone me, harass me. I thought this Bureau of Land Management. Stupid. All right. It's just, it strikes me in the face that people of this mentality are actually working in the government. And there's lots of them, man. There's lots of them. If you don't think there is, all you gotta do is sit back and listen to them talk. Just listen. A lot of them are from Texas. People keep telling me how great it is. Move to Texas. These are the same people who are moving from Texas, except for a couple of them who just moved there. The rest of them are moving from there, and they're like, move to Texas. I'm like, no. Well, first of all, I was born there. Right? I was there for 10 days. So no. That was it. And I drove through there, and the cops harassed me. So no. I don't like any part of that. As a matter of fact, go to Texas. Would politicians like that? You got that Ted Cruz, Grandpa Munster. Oh my God. All right, moving right along. we're moving right along. Amanda Kloots, another one, famous lady, right? Recalls struggles during her marriage to Nick Cordero. I was not a good wife. Right. So there are people out there. There's definitely a two-way street where the traffic moves faster on one side and the traffic's not moving at all on the other side. So when it comes to being a man in America, we can do no right because people constantly will point the finger at males, especially Caucasian males these days, which is very racist. That we have destroyed the world and enslaved people and did all these terrible things. I seem to remember the Emancipation Proclamation included many white people who also helped. And you have to understand, there's all types of people out there. It's not the skin color, it's the person. And for the same people that scream racism, they're doing the same thing when they look at white people and they say, you're racist because you're white. Like all this crap they're trying to teach these kids, critical race theory, which is being tossed out. You know, of course, you're not going to be proud of everything in the history of any country. We have done terrible things in this world as people, terrible things still to this day. This second that I'm talking, there are people and animals out there suffering at the hand of others to this day. So, but in the world of the media, it's like women can do no wrong and men are automatically toxic masculine types and women are victims. That does women a disservice and it does men a disservice, and it gets in the way. It's really best to avoid the media. You know that if you want to be happy, you avoid the media because you're not going to learn anything from it. All they do is fight and get people all heated, and there's no point in doing that. So Amanda Kloots is opening up, of course, publicly in front of everybody about some of the ups and downs in her private marriage to her late husband, dead Broadway star Nick Cordero, who just died last July at 41 years old from COVID-19 complications. Sad for him and his family, right? In a recent interview with the New York Times, so the guy's dead, and now she's in New York Times talking about all his private stuff, probably from her own guilt. But I haven't read the story yet. I skimmed it. That's what I like because I like reading stuff fresh. I haven't read the story yet. I will guarantee she flips it around to herself. Right? Right. So in a recent interview with the New York Times, which I no longer read because I don't trust the publication, Kloots, 39 years old, says she feels regret about not supporting all of Cordero's career decisions during their marriage. She said, I was not a good wife. The fitness instructor and the talk co-host said. She explained that in 2019, a year after Cordero wrapped up his role in A Bronx Tale on Broadway, he was thinking of switching gears and pursuing a career in songwriting. It was not, she said, I was not understanding any of it. She said, I was like, this is a waste of time and we have no money. It's really, he's on Broadway. He is getting paid. Maybe they don't get paid what people in movies get paid or whatever on TV shows, but getting paid. The fact that they have no money, which is interesting that she said, I wonder who spent it all. He did not feel supported by me, and I wasn't supported, is what she said. This guy with a big smile. Kloots also opened up about a disagreement she and Cordero had over moving to Los Angeles. Cordero wanted to move to California because he thought there might be more TV acting and songwriting opportunities there, while Kloots wanted to stay in New York City, where she was closer to family and her career as a fitness instructor was growing. So, number one, LA is all about fitness. New York City, not so much. New York City is all about bagels. LA is all about fitness. But for her to be very selfish and say, hey, I have friends here and family, and then I'm a fitness instructor, and that's growing, but it's important for this dude and his career, especially if that's the bulk of their income coming in, right? We fought about it for a year. These guys battled over this, and she said, I finally came to a place of this is marriage. You have to compromise. Wow. Isn't that interesting? After a year of fighting, she added that she learned to appreciate his music too late, but that she is now determined to keep his voice alive. Yeah, you know why? So she can put that money in her bank account. I have to say that because that sounds like the only motivation that this woman has at this point. That and her guilt, but I doubt she's feeling the kind of guilt that you would normally think. Cordero it's more of a guilt that these people feel for themselves, and they feel sorry for themselves, so they want other people to feel sorry for them. It's more like that. Cordero was admitted to the hospital in late March of last year and spent more than 3 months battling COVID-19, which left his lungs severely damaged. You know, a lot of people get COVID, man, and they barely have any symptoms, and they end up with 30% lung reduction. So it's something that you don't want to mess with. And you know, right now COVID's on the rise. So and there's also the Lambda variant from Peru, which has taken hold in some other countries. It's getting there. We've already got the Delta. We haven't even gotten through the Delta yet. It's just starting here in the U.S., but elsewhere around the world, it's going through the roof, right? Anyway, Klutz said on her Instagram story in late April of 2020, when Cordero first got sick, the couple was staying in the guest house of their close friend and actor, Zach Braff. During the ordeal, Cordero's right leg had to be amputated due to blood clots. On July 5th, 2020, Klutz shared the heartbreaking news that her husband had died. I'm in disbelief and hurting everywhere. My heart is broken as I cannot imagine our lives without him. Nick was such a bright light. He was everyone's friend, loved to listen, help, and especially talk. She wrote on Instagram, he was an incredible actor and musician, and he loved his family and loved being a father and husband. Almost a year later, Klutz is navigating being a single mom to their son, Elvis. Elvis. Elvis, who turned 2 on Thursday. Oh, look at little Elvis. Elvis will do something so adorable that I just wish Nick could be there to see him do it. That's sad, though, isn't it? And now she has to kind of live with that. I bet she's feeling guilt that maybe if they left town early enough, maybe if they had done the things the guy actually wanted to do, he might even be alive still. In the world of maybe, you know, I don't cash in on maybes, but it's just real sad that sometimes people don't realize how terrible they are until the ones who are important to them die, or what you miss, even not even if you're terrible, but what you could have done differently, what you miss about them. But one thing's for sure, there's no undo button. You can't go back in time. You can't undo the past. You just have to learn from it and live with it and go forward. So maybe the next dude this woman gets her hooks into will be a better fit for her, and not willing to sit there and fight. I can imagine, man, what it's like, doing the battle for a year with someone when you know that where your career needs to be. You ever watch the show Office? It depicts a paper company in Scranton. It's a comedy, really cool show, good actors, good characters, but it basically circles around this guy Jim and this girl Pam, who is the receptionist, right? And then she's engaged to another dude. This guy's flirting with her, which is never a good idea. She's flirting back with him, which is never a good idea. And the show is very gynocentric. How it puts the emphasis, wow, she was engaged for 3 years and not married. That's too long. It's so long. It's incredible. Putting pressure on people in that weird way. Like, what's wrong with a 3 or 4 or 5 year engagement? I mean, it's good to get to know somebody, but the reality is this guy simped for her during the whole show. And then when it came down to his career, something he wanted to make more money for his family and move into a better direction, she didn't want to do it, and she kept holding him back. And then, in the show, she finally, at the end, of course, she finally said, "Oh, it's okay. We can move. We can go and do this." So yeah, those decisions need to be made by responsible people. You can't let irresponsible people ruin your life or help rule your life or make decisions for you. You need to make your own decisions. And the person that you're with there's compromise in a relationship, sure, but it should be honest compromise, not for no reason, honest compromise. But anyways, this is the world that we're in. And it's tilted to a certain direction, and it's getting worse. And now there's a lot of pushback. I see a lot of young males out there that want nothing to do with women, and that's crazy to me. I see a lot of young women out there that are very masculine now. The way they act and the way they talk and the way they walk and what they do. Is that the shift of humanity? Is that something that people think they need to be? I happen to like feminine ladies. You don't want to sit with a dude, I'll sit with a dude. You know what I mean? It's a whole different world. So I don't know. I grew up with a lot of friends that were lesbians, and I'm used to being around girls that are masculine, but that's different. These are girls who aren't lesbians who are acting masculine as turning guys off, or guys acting very effeminate. That's very weird to me too, man. It's not going to go anywhere in a good place. And man, the people that I hung out with back in the day, when we were teenagers, we were men, and you did the right thing. Hey man, yeah, you hold doors open for people. Chivalry wasn't dead. You certainly, and that wasn't, for women only. It's about respect. Respect, I watch this beach cam in the Hamptons, like during the day sometimes, right? Watching people walk out to the beach and walk back to the beach. I like to listen to the seagulls in the ocean on my computer while I'm doing my stuff, right? And you see, like, these old people, elderly people struggling with their chairs and their umbrellas, and they're trying to drag the stuff out onto the beach, and these young able-bodied guys walking, girls too, walking right past them like it's nothing. My friends and I would have been the first ones to say, hey, can we help you with that? Can we take this out there for you? Because it's respect. It doesn't have to be your family. It just has to be you respecting yourself. Respect. It's kindness. It's about love. And that's the way you need to rule your life, not through all this other stuff, and not airing your dirty laundry in the New York Times because you're feeling sorry for yourself by the horrible way you treated your husband. It's more about, the apology has to come in yourself to yourself. You got to forgive yourself too. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week on this show, United Public Radio Network, UPRN, talkradio.com. Take the red pill, take the red pill, take the red pill. See you next week. Bye.